So I debated between doing videos on the most recent open mics or taking a trip down memory lane and covering something debatably a little more interesting. And in this case, obviously, I opted for the bit that would be a bit more interesting. In this case, looking at Kent's videos from the R and Ra Hovind debate, quote unquote, that happened back 2018. It was a video exchange series um, that went just as fantastic as you'd expect it to have. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Maybe you haven't. If not, Aaron's videos are just a glorious teardown of Kent's meandering garbage, as would eventually come the Lies in the Textbook series that Aaron did. Ken's videos we only see fragments of in Aaron's videos because he necessarily has to cut those down. Because there's a lot of just waffle in there that isn't necessary. But of course, around here we do things a little differently, and we take a look at the entire video, for good or for bad, to simply create entertainment, to have something to rip into. Um, so yeah, that's where we stand. We are going to just start from the beginning and work our way down, step by step, line by line, if we have to. Hovind. So you're going to get some. This will be an interesting study because you're going to get less angry Hovind here, more goofy Hovind. Now, granted, this is 2018, so this is a couple of years after Joe had left him. I don't remember which wife he was on at this time. Doesn't really matter. I want to think his third. I'm not sure. Um, but Kent is nowhere near as bitter as he is today. It's incredible how, in a span of under a decade, this man has gone from relatively happy to be out of prison to just angry at the world. But then again, if I was Kent Hovind, I too would be angry at the world for allowing me to become the creature I would be were I him. But enough preamble, let's get right into it. My God, is that production quality? Production quality in a Kent Hovind video post prison? You might not believe it, but it's true. There was actually a time when some effort was put into these videos.
Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland, October 29th, 2018.
Also, isn't it incredible to have actual reasonable audio? I mean, this is back in the day when he was using the monitor propped up behind him because they hadn't discovered the magic of editing in picture. But, still, they actually have halfway decent audio on Kent's side.
I've had quite a few people telling me that you didn't respond to Aaron Ra's YouTube. He accepted your challenge. I don't watch his channel. I didn't know. I'm sorry, Aaron. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you put on your channel. However, since
Kent, all you do is care what other people think. Your whole career is based on that. If you didn't care, then you wouldn't care. It's really that simple.
I just found out about it today, or just got a copy of it today, I will respond today. He played.
Harold, it is the first stream of the day. Also, what makes you think I'm going to stream multiple times today? Whatever gave you that idea?
A 24-minute clip of his response to my accepting his challenge. I asked for the best 3 evidences for evolution. And Aaron, the self-proclaimed atheist, Aaron Nelson is his name. He tells me it's not that anymore, but as far as I know, I've never seen any documentation to say any different. So,
This has been stressed to death, but we still have to go by what the hell does his name matter? Also, as Aaron says in one of his responses to you, if someone comes up and tells him their name is Joe, Aaron's going to call him Joe. He isn't going to sit there and demand proof of identification. He's just going to take it at value and move on. That's what you do with names. It may be weird, you may wonder about it, but I mean, also, you can kind of identify yourself as whatever the hell you want. kind of the beauty of names. Just because one's assigned to you doesn't mean you have to go by that one. Just like some other things. You kind of go along with what feels right for you. Because you want to feel comfortable in your skin, so to speak.
Oh, Mr. Nelson, here we go. Here's what you played. I took my clip and then edited into it, which I said you should do. Now I'm going to stop yours and edit in, which I said I would do.
My name is Kent Hovind, and I'm going to explain how video reactions work. At least video reactions that don't consist of just a camera on someone's face while they make goofy faces while a whole video plays uninterrupted. Because there's reaction channels, then there's react channels. There's a distinction. A big distinction.
I thought we would publish it when it was all done, but you said, no, you're going to publish each part as we go. Okay, well, let's take this slice at a time and analyze it, which is why I always say I'm willing to debate the topic of evolution if we talk about one topic at a time.
Yes, one topic at a time, so I can run my script perfectly, because that's all I can do, because I'm Kent Hovind. I run a script. I am a robot. Robot Hovind, delete evolution, delete. And then he broke down the end. And yeah, I've had relationships last longer than Kent's last 3 marriages combined. I too know that joy and sorrow.
And he talks about Christians doing the Gish Gallop. We'll talk about that in a minute. They're the ones who do that. Mention 30 things and you only got time to answer one.
There's the projection, 1 minute and 24 seconds in. I knew it was coming. I've watched videos 1 and 2 of this and haven't watched the rest. I watched enough to know I definitely do want to cover these. I wonder how long it's going to be before he breaks Godwin's law, because I don't remember if or when exactly it would have happened in the first couple. But it definitely happens sooner or later.
We're going to slow it down, hit pause, and take one at a time. So we started with me showing my slides about the things we've covered that I don't think they can explain how they evolved. And I asked 4 simple questions about each one of these items. We went through the A, B, C, D. So let me just play and pause as necessary. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole 24 minutes tonight. It's going to take about 24 hours to answer.
Yeah, Robot Hovind would be mostly harmless because it's so danged incompetent. It'd be the bumbling sidekick. Honestly, you put it in Star Wars, Robot Hovind would make C-3PO look like R2-D2. R2-D2 would look like Luke. And Luke would look like, I don't know, Dash Rendar? I don't know where Mara Jade falls into things, but, she'd be in there. And even Luke got himself a redhead. God damn. Bastard. I don't care if he's fictional and it's part of the Legends continuity. Luke's a lucky sumbitch. Better than the treatment he got in the Disney reboots. Anyway, enough Star Wars. Back to Hovind.
Some of the lies in his statements here, but we'll talk about that in a second. Okay.
In the comment section on the last YouTube, someone said, JD said, I have a...
Hey, Noobifier. Glad you stopped by to say hey. Always appreciate it, even if someone can just pop in for a moment. And even if you can't, that's always cool, too. It's nice to see people be like, hey, what's up? Gotta go. I'm like, aw, you stopped in to say hi.
Question that's being repeated by many people.
Yes, I'm not used to basic human interactions. It kind of amazes me sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, this is how people are supposed to be. Why does no one in Memphis behave like that?
Is Kent going to stop running from further discussions with R and Rob? First place, I'm not running from it, and it wasn't a discussion. He is a bully. He interrupts.
That was what I said. He's a bully. Here's his response to that now. He gives a dictionary. Of course, dictionary. How many different dictionary definitions are there of any word? You can look up.
From the guy who uses dictionaries all the fucking time to try to prove his point. One for double standards.
Quite a few different people pick and choose the definition they want. But here's his response.
No, I don't bully people. Well, there is no question but that Hovind is...
I have to comment, Aaron, your green screen behind you with the fan blowing in the hair. My daughter had beautiful hair that blew in the wind like that too. Looks good, brother. Okay.
Definitely weaker than I am, even at the very...
Can't you wish you had a haircut that didn't scream, I'm a douchebag? But, sadly, your hair permanently grows in that horrific state. You just jelly, man.
...field where he claims expertise.
Okay. You say, I am definitely weaker than you are, even in the field where I claim expertise. I don't know that I've ever claimed to be an expert on anything, but I don't know that I'm weaker than you in any way either. I think that is a unnecessary statement you made there. I think if you'd like to, well,
Udif, I definitely have opinions on this. I don't want to discuss them here at a point when I possibly feel comfortable and may make it into a subject. I definitely will, but I've got statements on that take on stuff. Enough said there.
we'll see how this goes and let the audience judge. I'll continue here.
Beep, beep. Cows produce cows. Hovind. Ooga. You know, he's got to have one of those ooga horns just out of nowhere.
I do not use my strengths to intimidate him.
You don't use your strengths to intimidate. Aaron, if you watch any of your videos, anybody will tell you you try to use all kinds of big words. You're really good at using big words, and it intimidates people. Wow, he must be smart. What's he saying? Yes, I do think you do. I think you're mistaken on this one. Okay, but go ahead.
Nor do I think that would even...
No, Aaron is just has a rather commanding presence and also doesn't tolerate bullshit. Those combined could seem like bullying to you, which you would certainly know given the attitude you present to others what is and isn't bullying. So it's funny that, you know, you conflate the two of the man just being, you know, very stern with stuff to your outright abuse. I could see how a weaker person would see it as bullying, but not someone who's supposed to be as strong as the Hovind. So does that mean you're weak, Kent? I think it does. I think it's an admission. He was bullying me. He talked really, really a lot, and I didn't get my equal time, one topic at a time, and I'm the Hovind, and I didn't get things my way, and I'm going to cry like a baby.
even work against his level of apparent narcissism.
My level of apparent narcissism. How long have you known me? Narcissist, I want to look up the definition of the word narcissist. I don't believe I'm a narcissist.
Yeah, you also don't believe you're a douchebag, but, you know, here we are.
I think any leader of any ministry or any business has to have a level of, you know,
Ken doll looking ass piece of shit. This is what Ken grows up to be.
this is the way it's going to be done, but I think I'm the nicest guy I've ever met. Okay? I don't have a level of narcissism, okay? But
No, Udif, you're fine. It's just there's stuff I'll get into and things I won't at a given point in a given stream. Don't feel bad.
continue.
If you watch that discussion, you'll see that he was all about posturing, bluffing, and puffing up.
Okay, folks, please go back and watch the discussion that I had with Aaron Rod. Did I puff
Oh, we did. And so now you admit it's a discussion because earlier you said it wasn't a discussion. Which is it, Kent? Was it a discussion or not?
up and posture? I didn't have a fan blowing my hair.
In that discussion, he agreed live on video that he would...
And notice this is back when you had people in the audience reacting, and I guess it was a smaller section because this is, I think, before the actual GBC building was even started. So they're in just one of the random buildings, probably in the corner of the Science Center. I don't know. I don't care. But it was a lot more condensed of an atmosphere. So you could hear people actually laughing, and apparently people having fun back then.
come back for a second round, but he went back on his word as soon as he...
Oh, I did not go back on my word. We're doing it right now. I said I wouldn't. Well, you wanted to call it a discussion so there wouldn't be any rules, because in debate you get equal time. This way, you can take whatever time you want. I'll take whatever time I want. You can't interrupt me. That was the whole point. No, I don't think I want to be in a live discussion with somebody who can't shut up when the other person is talking.
Oh, you mean you can't? You ramble all the fucking time, buddy. Okay, maybe it's not always while the other person is talking, but you will try to butt in when you feel like someone's pushing too far away from from you being able to run your script.
I have a pause button now. I can shut you up and give my comments. Okay? Fair enough. Okay.
He was off the air. That's why...
Yes, Kent, and I have a pause button too, and I can shut you up and add my comments. You cry about that. You're mad. I make you mad, and I love that. Oh, look at me talking to Hovind from 8 years ago as if it's today. Oh, Sometimes self-awareness kicks in and you're just like, this is weird. I'm doing something very weird. Let's keep at it for fun.
They say he was running.
I'm going to make an offer now. Aaron, pay close attention. Kent's perfectly happy debating laymen YouTubers on his own terms multiple times. However, when he's confronted with someone who has actual expertise, I'm not sure what Aaron's expertise is, in a discussion that takes away all his rhetorical power, he cowers.
Hovind doesn't know what my expertise is? This coming from the guy who declared himself to be an expert on dinosaurs and the Bible without any justification.
Yeah, Kent's brain was set to read-only mode back in 1974. He hadn't learned anything new since then.
Whatsoever, and despite a decades-long continuous display of such famously shameless incompetence as to be a laughable example of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Hold it. Laughable incompetence. A decade of shameful display. I think I've displayed, I know the topic of creation and dinosaurs fairly well. I think I've had,
Exactly, Cassius. That is exactly Kent's MO. But everyone else is horrible. They don't know how to debate. They don't follow the rules of debate. They don't follow my rules, so I can run my script. Hovind.
151 debates now on the topic, and I think you're mistaken, Mr. Nelson.
I don't claim to be an expert like he does.
Okay. Well, let me just let that one slide.
But I've forgotten
I don't have a response, so I'm just going to let it slide.
More about evolution than he'll ever know, and I will continue to...
You have forgotten more about evolution than I will ever know. Evolution is a religion that people believe in. Nobody's ever seen a frog produce a non-frog or a cow.
And exactly what we talked about. Was it last night? I think I streamed last night. I can't remember. All the days roll together. How you say you do or don't say something this way or say it that way, and yet you constantly demonstrate that you are saying exactly what people say that you're saying. That is to say that an individual changes into another type, one could say, rather than population mechanics. Again, demonstrating that you don't know what evolution is. Or I should say, you don't care to treat it as what it actually is, because that's not how you make your money.
Cow produce a non-cow. You can believe it if you want, and you obviously do, but I don't think you understand what evolution really teaches. I show every night for the last 60-some nights, right from the textbooks, there was a big bang where nothing exploded, and then Earth cooled down, developed a hard rocky crust, and it turned into soup from the rain, and the soup came alive. That is all part of the evolution theory.
Except it's not, and your description of those events is beyond childish. Which is pretty pathetic for, at this time, a 65-year-old man.
Now, in the last 10 years, when you guys' feet have been held to the fire, you've tried to narrow evolution down to variations within different animals.
In the past couple of centuries, as science has developed and we've learned that your God is a meaningless construct that is nothing more than a figment of people's imaginations, apparently, and that the whole universe seems to work fine without any deity, y'all have cried and bitched every step of the way. Then, when whining didn't get you what you wanted, you started trying to usurp science, while simultaneously insulting science. So again, it's that weird double standard of you'll use science to support your crap, but the moment the science doesn't add up, you throw it away. Which is it? Is science good or bad, buddy? Well, that's not real science. Yeah, convenient how the stuff you don't agree with isn't real science.
There's a whole lot more to it than that, and I give 6 definitions, and you're going to show it in a minute. And my 6.
Yes, Kent, but you can have all kinds of definitions for things. That doesn't make them right, you know. That was what you implied earlier.
Divisions of that slippery word evolution are correct. I think you don't know anything about evolution. I think you believe a lot of things. You have a great faith. It's an admirable faith. But you don't know anything about evolution. Oh.
To demonstrate how I am far more adept at this than he ever could be.
Yeah, I am willing to debate, very much. Aaron did not want to do a debate, because then you have to follow certain rules, like don't interrupt. That's why he didn't want the debate, okay?
I only agreed to do it if it was not billed as a debate, partly because I didn't want to lend legitimacy to it.
Now, Aaron, you labeled this one.
Interrupt him right in the middle. Now, he's talking about the discussion you had on non-sec, you moron, not these videos.
Tonight that I'm showing as debate round one. Is it a debate or is it a discussion? I don't care, okay? But I want there to follow.
Yes, you do care, Kent. Otherwise, you can't add another point to your debate counter. I wonder, does he count this as a debate? Is he like James Rolfe and how he counts every single video he's ever done as a film? Does he count every video he's done in this fashion, in this set, as individual debates, or is it all part of the same debate? I wonder.
Certain rules, like don't interrupt. You can interrupt me as I'm talking now. You can hit pause when you re-edit this. And we're probably going to go back and forth on this one for a long time. But I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on each of the statements that you make. Just watch. This may take all night. Okay.
Convicted fraud, and partly because I know how...
A convicted fraud. I am not a convicted fraud, aren't
Except you are, buddy. You are. There's no way around it. You are.
Listen carefully. The videotapes, KentHovind are going to be put up on our YouTube channel.
What YouTube channel? It's gone now, baby. Also, I'll reiterate again that those videos are unwatchable. And very seriously, if anyone out there is curious about trying to watch the Kent Hovind is Innocent series, it is unwatchable. Full stop. There is nothing to it. I strongly suggest you don't try if you value what's left of your sanity after being exposed to this much Hovind. There, I did my public service announcement for the month, I guess. Time to go on and do whatever. I don't know.
On our website, drdino.com, you can watch for yourself. I was not convicted of fraud. Look up the word convicted, look up the word fraud. I was not convicted of fraud. I was convicted of structuring, which is not fraud.
Yes, a type of tax fraud.
Was convicted of not withholding taxes from employees. That Brady went through every single line of that charge and the conviction. I did not break any laws in that one. So I was not convicted of fraud. Why would you make a statement like that? That is not correct. That is called poisoning the well, I believe, is the fallacy there. I was not convicted of fraud.
Worst thing we ever did was explain to flat earthers and some reality-denying idiots what logical fallacies are. Because ever since that became a big thing, 10 to 15 years ago, like a really big push on that, all these idiots started just saying every one of them, just naming them all off randomly, which is ironically a fallacy in and of itself. And I say 10 to 15 years ago because that seems to be the point where in the general diaspora it really clicked, like as a universal thing. Like we reached a critical mass where all of the idiots were sharing, hey, if they say this, that's a logical fallacy. Or watch this, oh, I'm going to call that a logical fallacy or whatever. Yeah, well, I got the logical fallacy of fuck you, Kent.
You're either confused or you're deliberately lying, but it's not true. Correct it, please, on the next one when you edit my comments here.
Kent plays this game. I've seen him tell more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence, don't you found?
Oh, okay, now hold it.
Yes, this is a bit of a deviation, but yeah, James Rolfe, when he lists, like he'll list films, and if you look, he'll have like a master list of every little video he's done, and those are his films. So like when it hit Cinemassacre 200, that's the 200th video he did, counting all the stuff he made as a kid, which, you know, I'm not criticizing him for. I get it. I like James Rolfe's, the spirit he approached everything with. As a child, as a teen, as a young adult, I was very similar, just not into the same fortunate circumstances to be able to make things happen like he did. But yeah, when he made like Cinemassacre 200, that was the 200th video. When he did Cinemassacre 300, that was the 300th. And so that's how he does things. So every AVGN is a film. Most of your side videos related were films. And again, all the stuff he did as a kid, teen, young adult, regardless of how silly it was, It's a film.
You've said this several times. I've seen Kent tell more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence. That may be a cute, what's the term they use for that, mantra, but it's, which sentence are you talking about that I have said? What specifically have I lied about? Where have I told more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence?
I don't know, just play one of your videos and just let it go. It'll happen.
Your followers probably think this is great and applaud you. Yay, go get them. I think you're mistaken, Mr. Nelson. I don't think I've lied in any of the sentences. I believe I'm going to face God one day for every word I've ever spoken.
Oh, there we go. 9 minutes 30 seconds in. You're gonna face God one day, and you'll see. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you believe. That's the entire problem. What you believe is idiotic. And you want to push it on others, as opposed to what's obviously real about reality.
In Matthew 12:36.
I mean, did you ever think we'd be in a stage in life, or that it was a thing, because this has been going on off and on for eternity, it seems, where we'd be arguing over what reality actually is? But that's where we live now. The internet was a mistake.
7 and 8. I think you are too, whether you believe in it or not. We shall see. But no, I've not lied. I certainly haven't told more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence. That's a cute phrase. Stop using it, please, unless you can prove it. I think you are lying by making that statement.
And if memory serves, when Aaron addressed this in his rebuttal, he went through a good couple of examples and systematically tore apart what Kent said, demonstrating that statement.
Factor in all the misconceptions and misrepresentations within that.
Misconceptions and misrepresentations. I would like you to be specific. This is called a generic charge. This is a slap and run. Where did I give any misrepresentations? Where did I lie? I try to be very cautious. Some of you have been working or helping in our ministry for a long time. How many of my
Yeah, Zoomy, and there's Zoomy Tomato, and there's also just the thing of like confusing stuff as a fallacy when it's not. Like, if you want to insult somebody, then it's just a fucking insult. Kent Hovind is a stupid piece of shit. That's not an ad hom. It's a straight up insult. I mean, this has been explained ad nauseum to him, and he and so many others don't get it.
videos have you seen? All of them. How many have you seen?
A whole bunch.
A whole bunch of them. Be specific, okay? Mr. Nelson, please be specific. Turn the fan off so you can hear and show me where I've lied, all right?
So if you let him go for 20 minutes or more uninterrupted, it would be impossible to correct every falsehood he just spilled forth.
Oh, no, you got it right now. You can hit pause every time. Take one falsehood at a time. Here's your chance, like I'm going to do with you, okay, right now. Hit pause, correct the falsehoods, and be specific. The Bible says to not accuse people. Of course, you don't care what the Bible says, but I think it's against the law to slander people, and I think you are...
And slander is a very defined legal term. That's something that actually really ticks me off. And I accidentally do it, and I welcome being corrected if I do say it. But when people will bring up a legal term, something that is legally defined, and they just throw it out there all willy-nilly, I hate that crap, because it's like legal language is some of the most accurate language you will find, because it has to be. I mean, there would be no misunderstandings if more people talked to that degree. And you can kind of see in my bombastic way of speaking where reading of that for casual fun for some fucking reason seeped its way in, and why I speak some of the particular speech nuances I do. And the others are just me being, being all messed up and not right in the head. But it just irks me when people do that, because it's like, stop using a legal term outside of the way it should be. You're really messing up understanding of what you're trying to discuss. And this will be in regular ass conversation with people, and I have to stress that, because it's like you're creating the wrong image on things. You have to stop doing that. And then they get mad. Is what it is. I don't know. All right, just had that happen a lot.
Borderline doing that. So unless you can give me a specific example, I think you are slandering me unnecessarily. Let's stick with the topic. I think you're avoiding real discussion on evolution rather than because you're attacking me personally.
I want to talk about evolution, says the guy who's constantly talking shit about everyone else. Which is fine, Kent. You're totally welcome to do that, but don't act like you have any kind of high ground.
All of this is ad hominem attack, has nothing to do with evolution.
See right there, him calling out Aaron for on ad hom one. It's not. He's just establishing your character, which is kind of a critical thing to do when what you talk about is to be believed to the degree that you expect it to be, and is as important. You know, does this person have a duplicitous reason to state the things they do, to feel the way they do? Now, one might claim that's, you know, a cry of conspiracy, and I would certainly call Kent out because he'll always say that people are in this, that, the other for the money. But it's demonstrable on your average scientist's end that they do it because they like this stuff. I mean, getting bukus of cash for being in these kinds of nice jobs is just, you know, a nice side effect. If the amount you get paid is a problem, then your idols there, you know, Trumpy Boy, Elongated Muskrat, and the others, they ain't exactly lacking for cash. You might want to judge them the same way. Or alternately, again, we can turn it back to yourself, where while you may spend money on projects constantly so that you theoretically keep your actual liquid assets minimal, you still have access to a lot of funds to be able to do things with. And you're always asking for donations. You know, you could cut costs a lot by not doing a lot of the random shit you do. But you're, of course, trying to rebuild Pensacola DAL, which is never going to happen, in your little mud pit up there.
Kent Hovind lies. He puts more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence. What does that have to do with the topic of evolution? You've still not offered any evidence of how a bacteria can turn to a whale, or nothing can turn to a whale. Okay. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
It's a common creationist tactic called the Gish Gallop, named
Duane Gish and Henry Morris, who I knew both of them fairly well, they were geniuses, and they started the ministry that is today in Dallas, Texas, Institute for...
Yeah, I watched Duane Gish. He wasn't a genius, Kent.
Creation Research. Duane Gish did over 300 debates against atheists and demolished them every time. So they invented the term the Gish Gallop, that he would start speaking, he'd go off and cover 20 topics, and then you didn't have time to answer them all. Okay, that's why I always insist. First of all, he did not do that. Okay, they got embarrassed.
Except he did.
They got beat so bad and made fools of, and so they're again attacking Duane Gish, the Gish Gallop, rather than the points. That's why I've said all along. You can go back and review hundreds of my videos. I'll discuss it, but one topic at a time. If we're going to spend this whole evening discussing Kent's credibility, my debating tactics and your discussion tactics, and you're interrupting me 288 times, we can do that, but that should be the topic of the debate then. Did Kent lie? If that's what you want to label it, okay, show me specifically where I lied. To say I tell more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence.
Let's note that we're 12 and a half minutes in, and Kent hasn't brought up anything on evolution either. He's just open reacting to Aaron's video and the original proposed idea of play everyone's videos unedited and just keep going back and forth in this massive chain of garbage.
Sentence is not a specific. I can't defend against that. In any court of law, in a free country, you have to charge somebody specifically. What did you do? Okay, I'd like to see what I did. The Gish Gallop, going off and mentioning a bunch of times. I try very hard to keep it to one topic at a time. You're the one running off on the rog.
Yeah, I'm jaywalking, and I'll do it again. I'm going to cross that street without any buttons or anything, because half the buttons in this goddamn city don't even work. I'm not kidding either. Every other one's fucking broken. And if it sucks.
Gallop, or whatever it is, the Nelson Gallop. Okay, let's continue here.
After Duane Gish of the Institute for Creation Research. To counter that, I'd first need to explain why Kent is wrong before I can explain the correction.
Okay. He's justifying why he interrupted me 288 times. rather than saying, hey, I'm
Yeah, I presume Kent thinks what he does is necessary slander.
sorry, you're right, I interrupted you 288 times. He's justifying why he did what he did, which is why I said, I'm not going to have another discussion or debate with the guy live. He can't shut up. One topic.
And technically speaking, that is very true. If it's actually true, it cannot by definition be slander. Additionally, only a relatively small criteria of things are slander. Just outright broad insults are not slander. Saying things that may not be true but are clearly in a joking manner isn't slander. But if you publish an unauthorized autobiography that claims that X or Y actually happened that most definitely did not, that is slander.
At a time.
Or could be, depending on, the way things are going. I'm no lawyer. I'm just saying. Like, that's one of those things. They throw out slander as if it's just saying anything that they don't like. And it's like, no, it can still just be an insult. There's legal definition for these things.
Let me answer. Don't interrupt. I got the pause button. It's wonderful.
You think with the amount Kent's been in court, he'd understand these concepts. But again, this is Hovind we're talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is usually complex, requiring more explanation, such that both of those steps take longer than it does for Kent to spit out his childish misunderstanding that he's so proud of.
My childish misunderstanding. Mr. Nelson, I think I understand very well that frogs produce frogs and cows produce cows, and there are no exceptions.
There we go. Cows produce cows. Harvard. I really need to call him out on that sometime.
And I understand and make real clear to people, no fossil counts. No fossil counts for anything in a court of law, in an honest court of law. When you find a fossil in the ground, all you can prove is it died. None of the fossils I have seen, and we got a huge collection of them here, none of them have a date stamped on them. None of them talk. You put interpretation on them, but your interpretation is not part of the fact. The fact is, this comes from a
Cassius, DVD 5 is Dangers of Evolution. I did a 4-hour thing on it. Definitely go back and check it out if you haven't. That's not the one where he talks about taxes.
That died. That's the fact. Now, if you want to add more to that, you're welcome to, of course, but that's no longer science. So there are no fossils that would count in an honest court of law. Every fossil would be thrown out. You can't say this is intermediate.
And always in an honest court of law. Science isn't determined in courts of law. Science isn't law, Kent. You don't understand how anything works.
Between these two, you don't know that. You don't know if that fossil had any children at all. How could you possibly prove that? This is where you guys run off on imagination like SpongeBob. Where'd you go? There he is, right there. Oh, perfect. Okay, here we go.
No, the crossing indicator tells the system that when you push the button, it tells the controller that on the cycle where it will be safe for the pedestrian to cross the way they have indicated they wish to cross to display the lights. It sets in a call depending on the particular crosswalk configuration, all that jazz. It's going to follow its rotation, but it might push a little quicker one way or another. It might not. In the same way that if, at like known times where it's unlikely for people to be going certain ways, it'll be less likely to give too long of an open green to that area before it moves on to the next bit of the cycle. No, the buttons definitely do, at minimum, trigger the crossing indicator, the walk, don't walk sign, at the appropriate time. If not, additionally telling the system, to go in a slightly different operating order to accommodate the pedestrian that wishes to cross. Of course, that doesn't matter if the people don't give a shit and they try to take their right on red privilege, which we have in Tennessee, and try to fucking run into you anyway and act like you're the problem for crossing at your authorized moment rather than yielding to pedestrians because no one in this goddamn city knows how to fucking drive.
It takes at least 4 times longer to correct any of these lies than it does for him to tell them.
Okay, there you are again mentioning 4 times longer to correct these lies than it does for me to tell them. Let's take one lie at a time. Aaron, Which lie would you like to discuss?
Dog Walker, you will be pleased to know that I have autographed somewhere in this room a picture of the Green Cross Code Man. That's right, Darth Vader himself, David Prowse. It's just a normal publicity shot of the man. It's neither a Vader picture nor a Green Cross Code picture. But I wanted something just to be able to appreciate of he himself. And I think I got it right. I forget whether it was right before or right after he passed. I think right after. I went on and ordered. I'm glad I've got it. But yeah, just you being in the UK made me think about that.
Show me one. Let's just give me a chance to defend myself. Rather than you just make a statement that I tell a bunch of lies, be specific, please. Where did I lie specifically? And let's talk about one, okay? I think you lied in your sentence that I told more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence. I'm accusing you of lying. Show me.
Get out of here, Sanjay. We ain't talking about pedestrians like that in these parts.
That sentence, please.
That's why he wants equal time, so that his errors will go uncorrected.
My errors will go uncorrected. I would like you to show me which errors. I've been asking for that. Be specific, not generic. He lies, he's got errors. Be specific, okay? Which ones exactly? I show specifically the 75 lies in the textbooks. Do the textbooks in your city, I don't even know where you live, nor care. Do the textbooks in your state teach that the embryo growing in the mother has gill slits like a fish? If so, that is a lie, and you should know that if you've studied anything, and that should be corrected. I show 75 specific lies that should be taken out of the textbooks. The human tailbone is not vestigial. No fossils count as evidence for evolution. None. I'm very specific in my charges, saying these are lies.
Yes, he did. He was also the bodybuilder in our wonderful friend AJ's favorite movie, A Clockwork Orange.
Be specific. Show me the lies, okay?
It's not about truth. It's about appearances.
Boy, are you talking to yourself. Get a mirror, son. Look in the mirror, okay?
Thank you.
He's stronger than me in every area. I'll be 66 in a few weeks, but I'll race you up the sand dune, Aaron. You look like
I'll race you up the sand dune. I'll race you up the... Oh. Okay, Kent.
I might beat you. Okay.
Knowing this, I wanted our exchange to be billed as a discussion instead, so that when he brings up his 6 levels of cosmic, organic, and chemical evolution that he made up, for example, I could nip that in the bud and keep this talk focused on what evolution really is. And
okay. Well, let's do that one. All right. Let's focus on this one right here. This is from Jack Chick Track, the 6 levels
Yeah, shit that you wrote into the chicked track, you dumb fuck.
of evolution, cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, matter, the Big Bang.
Also, talking about Jack Chick like he's someone with any credibility in anything. He's just like you. He's some fuck-all who knows jack diddly about ass squat.
Chemical evolution, how did all the elements get there? If the Big Bang produced hydrogen, how did we get silver, platinum, and gold? I would like you to explain that.
It's been explained to you. Crocoduck explained it to you. Before this, mind you.
You guys gloss right over that, like, oh, it's not a problem. You want to focus on micro changes, I call microevolution, and you want to assume that those little variations within the same kind is somehow evidence for all 6. No, the word evolution is too slippery and must be sliced up, and you guys are really excited about giving examples of what anybody else would call variations within the same kind, and you don't like the word kind. You think that is evidence for all of them.
Define kind, Kent. Define it to a point where there is no confusion. I'll wait for you to do that. And by wait, I mean I know you're never going to get around to it. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I do.
No, Aaron, the word has to be defined and has to be sliced up like this to be discussed. They do this in every court of law. They do this in all sorts of cases. We have to say, excuse me, exactly what does this word mean? Bill Clinton spent 4 hours saying, what does is mean? For heaven's sake. Anyway, So no, this is correct. And this is what you atheists and evolutionists hate, that I point out where a fourth grader can understand there are 6 different levels to evolution.
Yeah. And if you were to explain to a fourth grader that the world is flat and go through flat earth talking points, that fourth grader might just come out believing that. So I wouldn't trust what fourth graders do and don't believe, or their ability to understand something as validity of its factuality, as a validation of its factuality.
You have to have organic evolution.
And I mean, a person's ability to understand something means precisely fuck all to its validity or not. Quantum physics is incredibly hard to actually wrap one's brain around because it's counterintuitive. But, you know, hell, let's just go back to classical mechanics. You would think that to catch up to something in orbit, if you were in a different orbit, let's say a higher orbit, so you're going slower than the object, you would speed up to catch up with it. You would accelerate. But that's just going to push you further away from the body you're orbiting, elongate your orbit, and cause you to go even more out of sync with it. You actually would want to slow down through what's known as a Hovind transfer, amongst other types of transfer orbits. But this is the most direct, to a point where you match orbital position and generally velocities at a closer area, and then circularize your orbit from that point to match the orbit of whatever you're trying to catch up to. They discovered this in the Gemini program. It's just funny that no one had figured it out yet, but eventually, properties of the Oberth effect, that the lower you are in a gravitational field, the more more value you get out of velocity changes, accelerating, and then the inverse is true, decelerating. The further you are away, the more of an impact your acceleration attempt or deceleration attempt has. Yeah, my point is, it's very counterintuitive to the classical mechanics we use here on Earth, but that doesn't make it any less real, any less understandable. I don't know how many people in my audience actually were able to get it, given how ramshackle my explanation is. But I mean, it's a known phenomena. That is how this stuff works. I've got over 1,000 hours in KSP. I've mastered that shit. It's probably more complicated than you can understand. I should ask him about that sometimes. Just get into a thing about, how young people understanding things makes it valid, and then inquire with him just about how acceleration, deceleration, and actually matching positions in orbit, doing a rendezvous, how one affects that.
And somehow life has to get started from non-living material. Please, how did life start from non-living material? How do you go from non-living to living? I point out, if you put a frog in a blender and turn it on and let it run for 10 seconds or 20 seconds, within 20 seconds, you will have frognog. You will have all the material.
Is it just me, or is this also pretty disturbing, him talking about the idea of throwing a frog in a blender? That's pretty damn terrific. I mean, good godly man bringing stuff up.
All the elements, all the atoms to make a frog in one place. Now, nuke it, microwave it, lightning bolt it, do anything you want to it, okay? How long will it take to reassemble the frog? I will even give you all the frog elements in one bowl. Can you reassemble the frog? How did life get started? I don't want an imagination SpongeBob stuff. This organic evolution has to be separated out and studied independently, because you guys don't have an answer for any of these first 5.
Except the answers are there. They're pretty fucking obvious when you actually look at them as well. It's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense too. Huh, that's pretty crazy, but that makes sense. Then eventually, if you study enough, it all clicks together. And that's where the magic happens.
And that's why you want to make it you don't like my simplification of evolution has 6 different meanings. Is there anybody here that has any questions about that?
Oh, yeah. Like the people at your cult compound are going to have any questions about that. Also, I pretty much guarantee you that not a single person in this room at all has been at DAL at all for several years.
You think that's fair to divide it up?
Like, not even to come visit.
We're going to discuss the word. What do you mean by that word?
I mean, I swear to God, the Walmart I used to work at had better employee retention than Dinosaur Adventureland.
So yes, it has been and needs to be divided up very carefully so guys like you can't do the rah rush and instead of the gish gallop, we'll call it the rah rush, and go off on a bunch.
I'm gonna laugh and clap. I'm gonna laugh and clap because that was real good, Mr. Hovind. Yeah, you made a really funny joke right there. I'm just gonna hang out here so you don't beat me with the hose again. Please don't beat me, Hovind.
Show a bunch of evidence for micro and then see we proved it. No, you didn't prove it. Let's stop one at a time and talk about them. I didn't make this up. There are 6 meanings to the word evolution.
Not the straw man parody that Hovind wants to make it out to be.
In my first and only discussion I've ever had with him.
Yeah, it's this turtles all the way down kind of thing that Kent has going on, where, you have to be able to explain everything, but just for this one particular aspect of reality. It isn't any other thing that you have to go through the every single stage of. He doesn't care how the internet works, just so long as it does, so he can put out his stupid videos. Not that he could understand it if one explained it to him, but he doesn't say the internet isn't real.
So it is a discussion again? But I thought you just said...
It wasn't a discussion.
Okay, here we go. Picking at words. All right, you said you wouldn't have a debate with me. You said you wouldn't have a debate with me, and you labeled this one a debate. Forget it. Forget the semantics, okay? Whatever you want to call it, okay? We are discussing the topic of creation evolution, and if you want to call it a debate, you call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But if you want to have a debate, we'll call this our debate. We'll label it debate. I'm debating R and Ra, and we're taking word slice at a time, word by word, as necessary.
So, time for me to bring Guild Wars up randomly, since Jess decided to bring up Moose. There's a mechanic in Guild Wars 2 where you can transform into various things. Just random, transformation tonics. Just a novelty. I know other games have them too. There's a ruminant tonic that will turn you into a particular type of ruminant. The multi-stomached herbivores. And one of the options happens to be a moose. And so early when the game launched and I discovered these tonics, I would transform into a moose and hang out before big events. And I would be Battle Moose, storming into battle. And then I'd proceed to actually do the battle. But it became kind of a regular thing. I don't do it anymore. I might go back to doing it. But it was always fun. It was a me thing. Even had a little one of those little Schleich, how you pronounce it, figures of a moose that I had picked up after I started doing that. It was just kind of hung out on my desk, symbolically. It was nice. I know that's in storage somewhere. I can't. All my little knickknacks, man. I really miss them. Just all the random crap I had just hanging out on shelves and stuff. We'll get back to it eventually.
Equal time. Yet someone who followed the program went through and counted the minutes and said he got 62 minutes to talk and I got 36.
I really do want to cover the Conspiracy Cats debate, but honestly, I want to cover the Q&A section more so than the main debate, because that's where things get good.
He interrupted me 288 times during that show. We saw that R and Ra thing, okay?
I had to keep interrupting him because Hovind could not understand the one question I had to keep repeating.
Okay. Instead of saying, yes, I'm sorry, I interrupted, yes, I'm sorry, I hogged 62 minutes instead of 32 minutes or whatever it was.
This idea that Hovind is owed an apology. You're not, Kent. You're an adult. Deal with it.
You justify it. The discussion, whatever you want to call it, the discussion agreement was equal time. And that's only fair. So rather than say, oops, I'm wrong, Hovind, I'm sorry, you only got 30-some minutes, I got 60-some. That wasn't right, was it? Here we go. I'm going to take 6 years on this one, Aaron, and I'm going to explain word by word where you are wrong, and we'll go back and forth on this until you get tired. I enjoy this.
He kept running off on other tangents to avoid it.
Kept running off on other tangents to avoid it. I had to wait this whole program. I watched the whole thing to finally find your 3 evidences for evolution, which is what the discussion started off with. I said, Aaron, give me your 3 best evidences for evolution. And finally, at the end, you said biodiversity is proof for evolution. You said taxonomy is proof for evolution. And you said the theory itself, the body of knowledge, the fact that there's so much information about it, that's proof for evolution. We'll get there in a couple of weeks. Okay.
But he was not promised equal time in any of the written negotiations I've seen.
In the written negotiations, I remember talking to the non sequitur host about that and said, this is always my requirement, and it's a reasonable requirement for any discussion. Equal time. And one topic at a time. You're the one who keeps bringing up all the extraneous topics.
Define what one topic at a time is, Kent. Because if the one topic at a time is evolution, then you're going to get a massive list of all the interconnected disciplines that corroborate each other independently, but support the veracity of the other field's findings on this incredible phenomena. The most substantiated thing in all of science. You don't like that, then stop trying to discuss complex subjects because you're out of your league. That's it. That's all there is to it, buddy.
Like my degree, what difference would that make? Okay, you brought it up. I'll be glad to talk about it and talk.
You bring it up every single time. Your video opened with it saying, Dr. Kent Hovind. I was hoping I could freeze on the frames. You always have yourself classed as doctor to lend legitimacy to the crap you say. It's a tactic as old as the fucking title itself. And modern media and entertainment of any caliber, remotely modern. Quit whining about it. You can quit whining about a lot of stuff, honestly, Kent. It's not a very good look for a man in his 70s now.
Talk about your degrees in a minute, if you'd like. Okay.
Except for our opening statements. That's it.
The Bible says, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou be like unto him. And then it says, answer a fool according to his folly. So it looks like you got a choice. If you
Is that one of them biblical contradictions that don't exist, Kent?
want to answer a fool or not answer a fool.
Well, at least Hovind admits that the Bible contradicts itself because it did.
Okay, hold it. Does anybody think that is a contradiction? It's an obvious. The guy who wrote it, Solomon, the smartest guy that ever lived, would probably notice he said the same thing in 2 different sentences. It's a rhetorical statement that we use all the time in every language. They have that in Japanese, where you say something in 2 different ways and to get the point across.
Like homonyms.
Like a homonym. Okay. No, that is not a contradiction in the Bible, Mr. Nelson. That is a statement that is so. You have an option. Do you want to answer this fool or do you want to not answer this fool? Your choice. Okay. And maybe I made a mistake by choosing to answer the fool, but here we were stuck, so let's finish it, okay?
It's just the words of mere fallible men, after all.
You think the Bible is words of mere fallible men. I know you think that. You are mistaken, okay? The Bible is written by 40 different men on 3 different continents over 1,500 years.
Mere fallible men. You're mistaken. The Bible was written by about 40 different men. Stop right there, Kent. You done. Once again, this weird phenomena that the deity can make everything that humans can't, but can't make anything humans can.
Years with no internal contradictions. It makes prophecies about the future. Show me a book that does that. Show me a book that makes prophecy. It comes 100% correct. It was prophesied hundreds of years before it happened that a Messiah would be born of a virgin in Bethlehem. How could...
Yes, except the original word used was more akin to the concept of maiden, i.e. younger woman. Woman being defined loosely. We won't get into the details on that, but suffices to say, yeah. Seems like someone's, no pun intended, perversion of the translation that had to stress the whole virgin concept. And y'all just ran with it. Because apparently you're kinky like that. Well, I ain't judging. I'm just saying, though. Y'all really seem to be obsessed with that.
Could they know such a thing? It was prophesied in the Bible 2,000 years ago that people would have to get a mark in their right hand or in their forehead to buy or sell. watch the news, keep watching what's happening with the microchip technology, that will happen. It was prophesied that the Jews would get back in their land. Can you show me any people that have been taken out of their land for 2,000 years and come back? 1948, they came back to the land. That's
You know, Ken, I was waiting to watch a video where you brought this up again. You talk about all the native tribes that were extracted from the lands you're now occupying. So I have a question. If you're supporting groups taking over lands, and then getting mad when the people who want those who originally had those lands want them back from the people who stories say originally, and it gets muddied, but apparently people can't want their land back. But you also say that this was the people who's currently theirs land to begin with. So then what would you say if the Native Americans amassed and came to reclaim their land in some weird hypothetical situation? Which side would you be on? Because it was originally the natives' land. Our ancestors kind of stole it. Kind of a dick move. I just wonder how you'd address that. Not that you care about Native Americans, not that you care about anyone, but
It's miraculous. Would you think the Apache Indians are going to come back and take over America, or the Cherokee Indians? Do you think that's going
I didn't realize he was just going to immediately go into that. I promise you, I did not realize he was going to do that. I had been thinking that since the last couple of times he went on about the current Middle East conflict.
to happen? Can you show me where something like that has happened and historically for other tribes or nations being taken out and they're given their land back?
I mean, World War II, a lot of groups got dispersed, and eventually some sections got returned to where they should be. Some didn't, but World War I, same thing. It seems like a lot of conflicts seem to change who owns what territory, and then sometimes after these conflicts, the ownership gets returned. Poland's mostly the right shape again. Germany is limited to what shape it can maintain. Follow the Soviet Union. There's a bunch of extra countries that used to exist. They came back into existence. They didn't even get to become socialist republics when the USSR formed. They just straight up got amalgamated into Russia, I think, for the most part. I mean, you want to split some hairs, we can find examples that aren't your particular favorite fable. Just saying, Ken.
We can go on and on about prophecies fulfilled in the Bible. No, it's not a book written by man. This is a book written by God. You don't like that, we'll see Judgment Day how that works out for you, but you will answer to God for every idle word you have spoken. I will make a prediction. You will stand before God. You will fall on your knees. Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess.
Yeah, and by that they mean fillet the Almighty, because, that's all they give a fuck about.
Tongue that's from which curse words slip so easily is going to confess, Jesus, you are Lord. I predict, Aaron, you're going to say that. Amen. Watch it. Mark my words, okay?
But of course I am not a fool. A fool is one who too readily believes improbable claims from questionable sources on insufficient evidence.
Okay, let me stop right there. Aaron, you fit that to a T. You believe you came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago. Improbable claims. Does evolution claim that pine trees are related to whales? Does it claim...
I have a tiny bit of native ancestry somewhere, but it is so relatively diluted that I don't consider it a thing. It's not like I ignore it. But I don't have verification beyond what I've been told. I'd love to legitimately see, but I ain't had to scratch for one of those DNA tests. But even then, it's going to be such a low rate, I would never necessarily claim it. Just doesn't feel right.
Claim that pine trees and whales came from an amoeba, which came from soup, which came from a rock. Does evolution claim that? How many times have I shown that straight from your textbooks? You readily believe improbable claims from questionable sources on insufficient evidence. This is you, Mr. Nelson, right there. Bang on the dot.
That's Hovind and his followers, not me.
Hovind and his followers believe something that is improbable. Let me back up a little bit and get that definition here. Hovind and, first of all, I'm not looking to get any followers. Let me get the.
Come down to Dinosaur Adventureland. Subscribe to me on YouTube and Rumble and TikTok and join my app and donate money when I don't want any followers. Also, titles aren't important, but be sure to donate to Dr. Kent Hovind on PayPal.
Definition going here.
Well, at least Hovind admits that the Bible contradicts itself because it is just the words of mere fallible men, after all. But of course, I am not a fool. A fool is one who too readily believes improbable claims from...
I would say I readily believe all of the claims in the Bible because I think hundreds of them have been documented, have been verified. Can you show me something that has been proven wrong from the Bible? Has the archaeologist proven anything wrong?
He did an entire series where everything about Noah's flood is fundamentally wrong. Also, to you lovely, lovely people in the chat who might not be there, since Soot happened to mention that Discord, there was a post in Discord, there's a 30-minute invite link. If you ain't in, now's a chance. It's a goofy place. My Discord server is just a place of stupid, but, the fun kind of stupid.
They've discovered, like the Hittite civilization. The Bible talked about the Hittites. Nobody heard of the Hittites for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden, they find evidence of the Hittites. Whoa. I think the improbable claims, all of the claims that I'm aware of in the Bible that can be verified have been verified. Some are yet.
I'll let you in on a secret, Zumi. Pi is 4. Don't tell anybody, but it's 4. If you round up, all the way up.
Still future. You'll see. Watch your knees. Next time you wash your knees, think these things are going to bow before Jesus Christ. Yes, they are.
Yep, that really sounds like a wonderful thing to be thinking about, Kent. Yep, just the loveliest thought. Y'all are some sick, twisted, sadistic fucks. Or is it masochistic? Y'all like pain. Y'all like the idea of being little slaves. Treat me, beat me harder, Yahweh Daddy. Ooh-woo.
Questionable sources, insufficient evidence. I think there's overwhelming evidence that the Bible is true. Now, if you choose not to believe it, which is obviously what you've done, okay. I choose to believe it. But it's not.
Questionable sources.
You're the fool.
Insufficient evidence. That's Hovind and his followers, not me.
It is you, Mr. Nelson. I'm sorry. It is you, okay? I believe the Bible says the animals will bring forth after their kind. I believe if you crossbred 2 cows, you would end up with a cow.
And here we have Kent expressing his love for lesbian bovine cinema. Because that's what he just described. Yep. And make a good band name. Good, thrash metal, punk, sludge metal band. Lesbian bovine.
I'd be willing to bet you $1,000 it'll be a cow and nothing else. I believe any animal that breeds at all is going to produce something similar to itself. That's a prediction. You got that cat in here?
I put him out.
Did that cat come from a cat?
Yes.
Wow, who'd have thunk it?
I mean, I've got a cat that I don't think is fully a cat. Mimi is some other kind of species. Haven't decided what, but that is not a cat. That is a creature from some other planet. And I love that little tortoiseshell mutant.
Yeah.
I am answering a fool, but I don't need permission from his silly folklore to do that, and I'm not doing it according to his folly, either. When he wants to pretend that evolution teaches we came from rocks or that Lucy was just...
Pretend that evolution teaches we came from rocks. Mr. Nelson, watch any of my last 60 broadcasts on here. Near the end of every one, I show straight from your textbooks, you believe you came from a rock. Yes, evolution says we came from a rock. Tell me, where did life come from? And I can answer for you from your textbooks, Life came from the prebiotic soup, pre-living materials mixed together in the oceans or in warm little ponds or something like that. Where did the minerals for the soup come from? It came from a rock. I know you don't want to admit it because it looks foolish. The reason it looks foolish is because it's foolish.
Yes, even though quote-unquote prebiotic chemicals, various amino acids, and all that good stuff are found in cosmic dust, in effect, on comets, on asteroids, on all kinds of things. Note on, not in. Do you not comprehend the concept of something using something as a substrate versus being encased within it? Again, this shows your lack of skill with the English language, that you cannot abstract those two concepts from one another.
Yes, you believe you came from a rock. That's not a glib statement of mine. That's a very concise answer to what you guys believe.
And you believe Adam was a dust man and Eve was a rib woman. Literally. But that's not stupid at all. One for double standards, am I right?
Believe. Nothing exploded, produced everything, conglomerated into clumps called planets or stars or Earth, and then it rained on the rocks for millions of years.
Laura, you should compile a master list and send it to me, and I will publish a piece containing that list, with, of course, all wonderful credit, of just what you, as someone who deconverted, can come up with as things in the Bible that are not true. I'd love to see it, see how long it goes. It's just going to be like, this is one hell of a list.
And turned to soup, and the soup came alive. All I've done is concisely explain what you believe. That is what you believe. Admit it. Quit driving on the highway. Those are your grandparents, for heaven's sake. Gee whiz.
Chimpanzee, or when he goes on about his dog kinds.
Kent, you were complaining about the dust on Pearl Lane, but Adam was made of dust. That's Granddad you were complaining about.
I'm going to correct all that folly.
Pretend that we came from rocks, that is what you believe, or that Lucy was just a chimpanzee. All right, let me explain to you. Lucy was a bunch of dead bones.
Zoomy with a funny. Know how I know Adam wasn't white? Have you ever tried taking a rib from a white guy? Ooh.
At the best, it's dead, okay? You can't prove Lucy had any children at all. You certainly can't prove Lucy.
Jess, that was actually a common thing that people said when I was in like grade school. People would say weird stuff like that because the subject would get brought up just casually amongst kids talking. If only I'd realized then just how absolutely perverse religion was into society. Yeah.
Had different children. You see, every animal today brings forth
a very long list. I still want the list. I want to see it. Show me the things that are wrong. I want to see it.
The same kind of babies as it is. Now, if you
that way I can say it's just lines on paper.
Want to believe a bone you found in the dirt is capable of doing something that no animal today can do. No animal today can produce something other than its kind, but you want to believe Lucy could do that somehow. You're welcome to believe that. That's not science. That's not common sense. It's not smart. Okay? No, I don't pretend that Lucy was just a chimpanzee. The evidence points to Lucy being in the monkey or chimpanzee family, not in the human family, that's for sure.
Or when he goes on about his dog kinds.
That is frustrating to you guys, I know, because there is a dog kind. Does anybody know any examples where any dog has produced anything non-dog?
No, but I know of examples where something that wouldn't be defined as a dog was produced from that wouldn't be defined as a dog produced something that would be defined as a dog. Well, not an individual, but a population over time. Again, it's all gradients. You know, like how blue, the colors next to it are still blues, but eventually if you go far enough, at a point you stop calling them blue.
Now, I've had atheists tell me, well, of course, going forward, they're always going to produce dogs. Well, let's wind the clock backwards.
Nope, because you're adding criteria. You're looking at additional traits, defining criteria, and adding a classification on top of all the previous classifications that would have applied to the predecessor creatures. Life always goes from simple to more complex.
Do you believe somewhere, somehow, long ago, far away, I'll give you trillions of years, did a dog come from something that would be non-dog?
Yes, but creationists say in the case of Lucy that her pelvic bones had to be reconstructed and were intentionally altered to look like she walked upright, even though they were flattened, thus indicating she walked more like a typical chimp or something, even though their dimensions were their shape was changed due to pressure of the strata they were in. And that reconstructive effort was necessary to get to their actual shape couple of million years in the ground.
Answer that one in your response.
I'm going to correct all that folly.
Okay? Please do. And I'm going to correct all your folly, okay? You believe Lucy, you can't prove Lucy had any children. How would you prove that in a court of law?
Which is irrelevant because evolution deals with populations, whole groups of animals and their descendants upon isolation from other members of their species. We know there were multiple Australopithecus afarensis. There'd have to be. No creature is a unique case. While simultaneously all of them are unique in their own ways, no creature is a unique case. They're all part of a population. Or at least were until we, hunted a lot of them to extinction. Don't get me started on the Tasmanian tiger and how pissed I am that thing still doesn't exist in the, as far as we are aware, it is properly extinct. Aside from, those reported cases of it maybe still being out there somewhere. That one just really pisses me off. But anyway, and that bird species that like a quarter of all birds once were, and we somehow eradicated it. I don't even get it. It was some class of pigeon, I think. I forget the name of it, but it was supposed to be apparently, like a quarter of all birds were that species, that genera. And we somehow wiped them all out. Excluding those cases where we hunted the last one like, it owes us money. Yeah, they're all members of populations, and that's what evolution deals with, Kent. You can't get over that, hence why you always do you never see this turn into that, and this turn into that. Always has to be an individual, because it sounds so silly. Because that's the only way you can make people believe your bullshit, is to make reality seem even more stupid.
How would you prove she had children that lived? Is it possible that an animal had children and none of them survived? How could you prove those bones in the dirt had any children that lived? And how could you prove they were different from itself? Could Lucy, if it is intermediate between humans and chimps, I don't think it is, but if it is, maybe that's a line that's gone extinct. Maybe God created a creature like that is now gone extinct. You can't prove either way. So it's not science, is my point. It's a religious.
Yeah, it was the passenger pigeon that was once estimated to have comprised 25 to 40% of North America's bird population, numbering in the billions before being hunted to extinction. That is absolutely terrifying. On top of other, bird species alone that we've hunted to extinction, billions of them, when the population of humanity was in the 1 billion range, the 2 billion range. And we wipe them out. That's horrifying. Really legitimately makes me kind of sick to think. Let's continue.
Disbelief.
I just hope he keeps it down to a few points per response.
Well, I would love to keep it down to 1 point per response. Aaron, you're the one who keeps running off on stuff. You still have, here we are, 5 minutes through your 24-minute rebuttal here. And you haven't mentioned your 3 points. The purpose is to give me 3 evidences for evolution. You haven't got there yet. We'll work on it. Okay.
Because the more mistakes he makes,
yeah, we came awful close to wiping them out.
The more I'll have to correct.
I think a lot of y'all will know this, but Europe used to have its own lion species. Rome made sure that wasn't happening. They saw those roaming around and were like, absolutely not. It's freaking sad. I think North America had an equine species of some type that got eradicated through something, and then when the Spanish brought over horses, that repopulated us with something that filled that ecological niche. I believe there was a kind of, I hate to say kind, but a kind of horse or horse-like analog here. Lots of crazy stuff, like just so many creatures in the world gone, and so many others brought from other areas that they weren't native to replace them without us even realizing that's what we were doing. It's so very weird.
Well, good luck on that one. I'd like to see the first one. Give me the first mistake I made. Let's take one at a time. Okay. Better yet, let's finish this topic first. Your best 3 evidences for evolution. We'll get there eventually. Okay.
It's only a human if it's a homo.
Bible says, make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a...
Actually, yeah, I think that's where I got it from too. Now that I think about it, I think he was the one who mentioned in a very recent video, because that I definitely have watched a couple of videos of his recently, and I know I learned of that from a couple of videos. Yeah, it's the one where he talks about going back in time in values increments of 10. 1 year to 10 years to 100 years to 1,000 years. When he had 1,000 years, he talks about them. Yeah, that was it. It's a good video.
Snare to thy soul. I would consider him an angry man and a furious man, and I'll still try to be his friend, still try to win him to the Lord, but I'm going to be cautious, okay, after the last one.
So Hovind is going to disobey his God and make friends with me anyway?
And yeah, let's definitely not ignore the dodo being hunted to extinction.
You're right.
Mauritius, I think it's how you pronounce it, Mauritius Island. Which, fun fact, some idiot left I forget if I wrote a piece on it or not, but some idiot left a stupid comment on Zadara, and I left it setting for like a year before I finally went on and wrote about it, because that's where his IP address pinged back to. And I just had a field day with it, because as y'all have seen from other videos, I love doing that. And yeah, that happens to be the island where the dodo bird was. That's what it's famous for.
I changed my mind. I'm not interested.
Remember that in our last discussion, he called me stupid. He accused me.
Is there a different word they use now to describe that?
Where is the conversation about evolution?
Right. I called him stupid. I'm sorry. I couldn't.
Was that Cindy? I feel like that was her. Anyone who's better with voices wanna verify that. And then also, for the amount of time Kent spends waffling on in his videos, letting Aaron get through his opening stuff, he could have just skipped this, Kent. You know that, right?
Think of a more appropriate word at the time. I'll think about that. Okay.
Being drunk, and he tried to correct him.
Now, as far as being drunk, you were sitting there sipping wine the whole time. Many people commented that you were drunk. I don't know if you were drunk or not. I've never tasted alcohol. I don't know what it's like to be drunk. But a whole bunch of people said, he's drunk. How many saw the discussion and thought he was drunk? There we go. There's a bunch of them right in here. Watch it. Just answer, were you drunk? Yes or no? Okay.
Me on my own vocation, which he showed he doesn't know anything about, apart from
your own vocation that I don't know anything about. Okay.
What he might have seen on Wikipedia a moment earlier. He was very rude and condescending, and his hypocrisy is showing. But I'm a sweet...
I was rude and condescending. How many think Mr. Nelson is being rude and condescending so far in the 5 minutes and 19 seconds we have seen? Look in the mirror, son. This is...
Okay, thanks for that. Like I said, I have a hard time recognizing voices in some cases, so I wouldn't know for sure. Also, I fucking hate how Kent calls people son. If he ever called me that, I'd tell him to go fuck himself.
You, okay.
Sweetheart, and I can be a bucket of chuckles.
You are a sweetheart and can be a bucket of chuckles. I will refrain the obvious comment I would like to make right now.
The only thing I hate is lies and liars, and that's...
Well, yay! Well, then help me fix...
Aaron Ra could be in a coma and still beat Kent in literally anything.
The textbooks. Help me fix the textbooks, Aaron. I listed 75 lies in the textbook. If you really hate lies, how much time have you spent trying to get the gill slit stuff out of the...
Oh, Kent. As a reminder for those of you who I don't believe anyone wouldn't be aware of this, but Kent, Aaron actually did an entire teardown of the lies in a textbook video, which is part of why I haven't covered it, because there is nothing I can possibly add. Although us laughing at it would be fun, but Aaron's breakdown is so thorough, it's insane. Just like everything Aaron produces is so incredibly thorough. It is crazy that he actually manages to get this stuff out at the rates even he does.
The textbook. Let's just take that one. Let's take one topic. In 1869, Ernst Haeckel said,
No alcohol for the Hovind. It's not Jesus approved, even though Jesus got drunk off his ass. Hovind.
the embryos of
Please, Hovind probably partied down in college.
different animals have gill slits, proving they're related. Darwin ran with that and thought that was the best evidence for his theory. This is wonderful. Look at this. The embryos have gill slits. 1874, it was proven that Haeckel lied. He faked the drawings. He copied the same drawing over for some animals that weren't even that animal. Watch my video number 4, Lies in the Textbooks, which I cover on my seminar series, which you can get for $50, 18 hours, the whole thing, and then you can send it back when you're done watching it and copying it, and get or you get it individually, Lies in the Textbook. I show all the story about the gill slits. Let's just take one. That is obvious. Everybody recognizes that. I think everybody that knows recognizes that as a lie. It is not true. The embryo does not have gill slits. They have folds of skin that later develop into bones in the ear and glands in the throat. They never have anything to do with breathing. I've got folds of skin in my elbow. I cannot breathe through them. Okay?
We've heard this to death. Should I even address it, or should I just move on? I'm just moving on, because I'm tired. I'm so fucking sick of the pharyngeal arches.
I know people with lots of folds of skin under their chin. They cannot breathe through. Okay? So, if you hate lies, like you just said, will you promise to help me? I'll campaign together with you to get that lie out of the textbooks, off the internet, expose it as a lie. Say, everybody, stop.
Kent, the only thing you've ever been able to get off the internet is your own damn videos. All right?
Using gill slits as evidence for...
It's like Chris Chan's dad. I want that stuff off the internet. I'm working on it. We're working on it harder. Fuck, what was his name? Bob Chandler. Horn. Get away from the internet. I'm cutting it down right now. Rest in peace, Bob Chandler. Chris Chan's a piece of crap, and you were a despicable Republican cur. But you had some funny moments.
Revolution, it's not true. Would you commit to help me get that fixed? If you hate lies, prove it.
Why Hovind will never be my friend.
Fine with me. Okay.
It's not just that he's delusional, it's that he's so dishonest.
Laura, that is the best kind of thing you can have happen when watching something like one of Aaron's videos. You know, it's one thing to just straight learn something, but it's even better to have begun to formulate an idea in your head and then get verification that, yes, the idea you had is correct. Sorry, you had the on there. So awesome.
Honest about it.
Dishonest about what, Aaron? Be specific. You said you hate lies. It's a lie to teach the embryo has gill slits. Do you believe the human tailbone is evidence for evolution? If you do, I will pay to have yours removed. I'll remove it myself.
You damn right. Internet lumberjack, man. Oh, that audio. That's the only good part of that audio. Don't listen to the rest of that audio. But Bob cutting down the internet, it's pretty great.
Come down here, bend over. I got a Swiss Army knife. I'll wash it. Okay.
Ew. Ew. I forgot he said that. Ugh. Kent was really excited when he dropped the soap. That's all I'm saying.
Okay? No, never. I don't want to see that. Okay, never mind.
And just to clarify before I'm accused of ad hominem, it's not just Hovind.
Before you're accused of ad hominem, what have you done for the last 5 minutes and 36 seconds? Okay.
Yeah, that's what that debate alone is why I'm sick and tired of even, still now hearing about the pharyngeal arches, the girl slits. It's one thing for it to be the older videos, but Kent still goes through that crap as if he didn't even wish to, obviously ignoring, anything AJ said in that debate, which was so well planned out. Whew. If y'all haven't seen AJ debate Kent on the pharyngeal arches, go check that out. It's good shit.
Accused of ad hominem. Okay.
It is impossible for anyone to defend creationism honestly, not against some.
I'll defend it honestly against all comers.
Ew, he said comers.
The Bible clearly teaches God made the world in 6 days. I think that would answer why we got so many symbiotic relationships and why plants and animals reciprocate the gases. I think that's very scientific and logical. A rapid, instantaneous, fully mature creation is the only way it's going to work. I'll defend that.
No.
Someone who knows both sides of this dispute as well as I do.
So, for the record, I am not the least bit afraid of Aaron or any atheist, and I will cheerfully defend the Bible position of creation against any number of atheists if I get half the time and we discuss one topic at a time. Now, in light of his last performance and failure to abide by simple rules,
your rules were never applied in that discussion.
I agree. They should have been.
Oh man, we're seeing another incredible piece of video production there. They just did an edit. That was a straight cross dissolve. Very straight basic one. But that was a straight dissolve. Y'all want to see that again? I mean, look at this. This is, ironically, for being such an old primitive Hovind video from post-prison days, this has infinitely better quality than anything they've produced in the past couple of years. Let's just appreciate that dissolve one more time.
Your rules were never applied in that discussion.
It's so beautiful. This is what happens when you have competent tech people. And by competent tech people, I mean people at least know how to edit a goddamn video.
I agree. They should have been. That's why this format is probably going to work much better, Mr. Nelson. I will stop you when you go off on your rah rush, and I will point out to, I think...
Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. Get the fuck out, Hovind. I don't know.
To anybody's satisfaction, what you're wrong about, okay? It's been a long time. We've only been through 6 minutes of his response, and it's taken us an hour. We're going to have to quit and do this. This is going to take several broadcasts, Mr. Nelson. Thank you so much. Okay.
Here is my offer, Aaron, and all of you other atheists that want to, that you said I'm not running from a debate from him. Are you kidding? Aaron will make a video of his best 3 evidences for evolutionism. Aaron, what's the best 3 evidences you know of to support evolutionism?
None. There's no such thing as evolutionism.
Well, there's where I have to respectfully disagree. See, evolutionism goes along with communism, socialism, Marxism, Nazism. It's a very legitimate word, okay? It's a very serious belief system. It's a religion that has, I think, very dangerous, and people need to be warned about it. You guys love to put the ism on creation. They'll say it's creationism. I decided to turn around on them years ago, and I've done many, many debates.
Yep, you've decided to. Which means you do it just to be petty. Which is the only reason you do anything, but in this case, you're at least admitting it.
So my first slide comes up, creation versus evolutionism. And I watch the person's face that I'm debating, and they're looking at it like, what? Something's wrong with that. I can't.
No, they're looking at it because it's so fucking stupid and so obviously dishonest. They're realizing they made a mistake and should have listened to everybody saying, you shouldn't interact with this Kent Hovind person. He's a piece of shit.
Quite figure out. Just like it doesn't quite dawn on them. No, evolution is an ism, Mr. Nelson. Absolutely no questions asked. I'll quit here in a second.
Kent calls anyone who accepts mainstream science an evolutionist because he wants to establish the fallacy of false equivalence by pretending...
Hold it. Accepts mainstream science. Is this the appeal to majority opinion? Was it mainstream science in the days of George Washington that if you're sick, you take your blood out? Was it mainstream science for 2,000 years that big rocks fall faster than little rocks? I think you could point to mainstream science and find scores, maybe even thousands of things that they were wrong about. And the fact that a majority of scientists today, maybe it's a majority, would claim they believe in that we all came from a rock if you give it enough time, that doesn't make it true.
I don't have response to this crap. Not because there's not a counter for it, but a matter of this shit's so idiotic. This is such massive deflection from the point. First off, accusing Aaron of doing something he's not doing with the whole appeal to majority, but secondly, negating the way science works by implying that people thought stupid stuff in the past, so they probably think stupid stuff now, not acknowledging that things have progressed and that we have a more refined understanding of things. Which means nothing to him, of course, because he gets all his information about the universe from a Bronze Age book of bullshit.
It's not mainstream science. I think it's common sense. Even after all the intensive propaganda for the last 40, 50, 60, 70 years, most scientists, and most Christians, certainly most people, do not believe this evolution theory.
Except that most Christians in the Western world do. I believe most people generally in the Western world do, as well as, and you know what I mean by Western world, the European influenced world, shall we say. And that even people elsewhere who are educated enough to understand the subject accept it as the fact that it is. Who's claiming appeal to majority now, Kent? With your fallacious claim that most people probably don't accept it.
I showed the slide in my presentation about the 28%. Biology teacher saying, look, only 28% of the biology teachers believe in evolution. Let's grow the 28. What do you mean mainstream science? Anyway, we're going to quit for tonight, folks. We made it through 6 minutes and 33 seconds. This is going to take a while. It's been a long time. Join us, drdino.com. Come on down, see our amazing place here. How many like Dinosaur Adventureland? Isn't this
Yeah, all the people at DAL are going to say they don't like the thing. It's like that Simpsons joke. I think Lisa or something. It's like a band performance or something. Everyone starts booing, and she's like, why would they come to our show just to boo us? It's like, yeah, why would anyone do that? No one at DAL is going to say DAL sucks. No, it's not how this stuff works, Kent. Also, you're appealing to your majority of cult members there.
Incredible. It is awesome. We love it. Come on down. I'll even give you a tour, Mr. Nelson. Never mind. I was going to say something, but okay, we'll do more.
Don't know what the hell he was going to say right there, but again, he calls us perverts, and he's going to say some weird shit.
Later on, thank you so much for sending me this, and I'm going to try to postpone my series on the impossibility of evolution. This is a distraction. Nobody has answered any of the 4 questions on any of the topics with real scientific observable evidence. They'll say, look at these papers, look at these research papers. Show me the real scientific evidence, not lines on paper. Where has anybody ever seen a...
Thanks to all of you for providing commentary to the section I barely tapped into, because I knew y'all could articulate it better than I could. Because, of course, I'm frustrated as a motherfuck because I've had to sit here and watch all this Hovind. How long have we been going? Hour and 30-some minutes. Sounds about right.
Dog produce a non-dog, or a cow produce a non-cow. I would like to see that, please. We will continue later. Steve, I'd like a fan on my hair next time, okay? Okay. Thank you so much. Push thumbs up, like us, subscribe, do all that stuff you're supposed to do. See you tomorrow. Bye.
We're not watching it again, although this shows the Dr. Kent Hovind part. Alright, closing that. Alright, we finished that. That was fun. Yes, Zumi, there was a child who was involved in a drowning at DAL. Thank you, Otaku. I knew that had happened, but I forgot what. Yeah, runner-up. It's when she didn't get first chair. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I should rewatch The Simpsons at some point. I wish we could just do a stream just watching episodes of The Simpsons and laughing together. I mean, technically nothing prevents it, but it couldn't really be a public thing. But that would be cool. And you can make it a Discord thing, honestly. That might be fun. I don't know. But yeah. All seriousness though, as always, y'all are awesome. Much love. I see we got a few people in the Discord, because of course we do, because people are fucking awesome. Hell yeah. Welcome to the party. Um, I was thinking I was going to go for a second stream and cover the next video. Don't think I will immediately. If I have the urge to later, I might. But I doubt I will, honestly. So this may just be it for today, or we might stream something different. But I will let y'all know. And by let y'all know, I mean I'll post about it in the Discord, and just check the channel and see if I got something planned in the upcoming stuff. But that's all. Thanks for